Well, as reported by CTV, some Canadians are feeling pretty stressed out after Meta has deleted accounts on both Facebook and Instagram, despite having done nothing wrong, with seemingly no mechanism to appeal the decision. I'm not surprised about any of this. As one user noted, and I quote, "It's my information, they're my pictures, and I didn't break any of their rules, and it's all AI. There are no humans." I appreciate that comment as well. I would really like to feel surprised about this situation, Jeff, but we have faced so many similar issues on multiple occasions with Meta, where there is just no way to do anything at all about these random and unjustifiable decisions. As another user shared, no explanation was provided, and there was no way to communicate with Meta to understand what rule I supposedly violated. This lack of transparency is deeply frustrating. I've lost access to years of memories, photos, and connections. Jeff, it is true to say that there is no other business in the world that I think would get away with this kind of behavior.
No, it's disgraceful. And like you say, this has been happening for years. I completely share their frustrations. You and I have both been through this many, many times, this kind of stuff with Meta. And I would have thought that they would get better at it over time, but AI has just made it even worse than ever. Not that you were ever really able to reach human tech support at Facebook anyway. You pretty much had to know somebody at the company, which we took advantage of a couple times. And again, that's just no way to run a company. Anyway, Meta has been bragging about deleting spam and other accounts, and they said they've had more than 10 million that they've deleted to date. But stories like this make me wonder how many innocent accounts are being swept up in a purge like that.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Let's hop over the Pacific from Canada to China now, where Reuters has recently reported on the head-to-head battle between China's dominance in critical minerals and the U.S.'s lead in advanced chips. We recently launched the next season of Canada's This Is Mining, the podcast, which I host, which is all about the race to secure critical minerals, especially the rare earth minerals that are used in so much of today's technologies. And this race is definitely intensifying. Unfortunately for the rest of us, China does twice as much rare earth production as every other country in the world combined.
Yeah, I feel like I've been watching this story unfold in slow motion over so many years now, with China's continual expansion of their stranglehold on some of the world's most essential resources, while the West in particular just sat back and watched it happen. So that's thankfully starting to change. We're starting to see some moves in that direction, and here in Canada and other in the States as well. But we're so far behind China that it gives them just a terrifying amount of leverage that it can wield in any kind of fight, which is exactly what it's doing, as you explained.
And in another area where China dominates, we're going to talk about EVs. Electric vehicles now have a 51% market share in China. And of the 17 million EVs produced worldwide last year, China built more than 70% of them. And that's with countries like Canada and the US having imposed a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles since last fall.
Yeah, it's just amazing, the progress. And, obviously this is a state-led economy, so they can do stuff like that. And there are other examples, like Norway has an amazingly impressive percentage of electric vehicles, if I'm recalling correctly. So it's I don't know if we're doing ourselves any favors by tariffing Chinese vehicles at 100%. But we'll have to see what happens. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., the former electric vehicle darling Tesla has been caught withholding electronic crash data from their vehicles from the courts, and only admitting that they even had it after a hacker unearthed it. And you can check out my AmberMac segment on that, Tesla's autopilot failures, for lots of details there. But it's starting to have a real effect on consumers' opinions of Tesla, which is unsurprising. And in a recent survey conducted for the Electric Vehicle Intelligence Report shows that nearly half of consumers think that Tesla's full self-driving tech should be illegal, and that and to the point where they would like to see government take action on that, and also that the full self-driving makes them less likely, not more likely, less likely to buy a Tesla by a 2-to-1 margin. And notably, and as I show an example of in the AmberMac segment, 70% of Americans think that Tesla vehicles should include LiDAR, like all the rest of them, which Elon Musk has rejected as being too expensive, with only 3% of respondents say that they supported Tesla's camera-only approach.
I would love to say that I'm surprised by this, but that would be a lie because I am not surprised. Let's switch our focus to something that the U.S. is still a world leader in, and that is fast food drive-thrus. It looks like Taco Bell is the latest fast food chain to reverse course on using AI to run its drive-thrus. The company, which has now added AI to more than 500 locations in the U.S. since 2023, is ending the experience after the expected efficiencies did not materialize. We're hearing this more and more, yielding moments like one where a customer seems to crash the AI drive-through tech by ordering more than 18,000 cups of water. This little video is going viral online right now. And another where a man trying to order a Mountain Dew is repeatedly confronted by the AI, asking him over and over again. I saw this one on Reddit. And what will you drink with that, even after he obviously just ordered a drink?
Yeah, these are kind of hilarious. And McDonald's, if you remember, McDonald's tried and ended a similar experiment at over 100 restaurants in the U.S. last year after incidents like this came up, including one where the AI added bacon to an order of ice cream, which... I like bacon and I like ice cream, but I don't know if they belong together. Another where AI added hundreds of dollars worth of chicken McNuggets to an order, and lots of other crazy stories like this. It's worth looking them up because they are pretty goofy. And, you know, it makes me think, weren't these supposed to be the low-hanging fruit for AI job takeovers? Weren't these the jobs that AI was supposed to be able to easily replace people in, Amber?
Well, clearly it wasn't as easy as they thought it might be because they seem to have many, many fails along the way. And actually, a new study from the DAIS think tank at Toronto Metropolitan University claims that almost 50% of Canadian public sector jobs are made up of tasks that, and I'm quoting here, current AI technologies are well positioned to substitute or replace, as opposed to only 29% of the general workforce. And an additional 25% of public sector jobs are what they call complementary with AI, which means AI can be used to enhance their work.
And as we're discussing, obviously, you have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. I mean, I think it's current AI technologies are well positioned. I mean, according to their promises or according to what they actually can accomplish today. So that's just a little caveat there. But I mean, looking at the federal public sector, the number of jobs that could be replaced by AI grows to 58%. That's the highest they found in the Canadian economy. 58% of Canadian federal public sector workers could conceivably be replaced by AI. And that may cause a panic in certain circles, but I gotta remind everyone that Justin Trudeau grew our federal civil service by more than 43% over his 9 years as Prime Minister. And according to the latest Parliamentary Budget Officer's estimates, if the current trajectory continues, your average yearly compensation for a full-time equivalent job in the federal civil service will be around $139,000 a year. And if you consider pensions and other benefits included in that cost, it will be $172,000 a year as the average compensation. So I think most people can look at that and think that that is probably more than your average civil servant needs to be making. And if AI can bring those costs down, and note that the costs are considerable. Last year, the federal government's personnel costs were over $71 billion in Canada. So if AI can help that, let's give it a shot, because the money does not seem to be being well spent if you consider the quality of services we get, which are being complained about all over the place. And there's a new article every week to say the CRA or whatever different federal government organization aren't delivering on their core mandates.
Jeff, I feel like that was a little mini The Other Mac, so maybe I'll do more on this in the weeks to come. Now, speaking of lessons to be learned, you're going to talk once again about how we're failing young people relative to AI in your upcoming segment, The Other Mac. But one thing that has been moving in the right direction is that we're finally cracking down on rampant phone use in our schools. Many schools in Canada have implemented some level of ban over the past year, from Nova Scotia and Saskatchewan not permitting phones during class time in grades K K through 12, Ontario and Manitoba using a tiered system based on age and other approaches. So it is good to see this actually happening.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that we finally got there. Frankly, it took us way too long, but anyway, at least we're there now. And the results seem to be pretty positive. And this has been happening, as you say, in Canada. We had all of last year as the running experiment in schools. And so we've actually done the work on that and seen how it turns out. And it's turning out pretty well to such a degree that we're actually seeing some changes south of the border as well, with 17 U.S. states and the District of Columbia now imposing some level of restrictions on phone use in schools. And as the Georgia State Representative Republican Scott Hilton noted, quote, anytime you have a bill that's passed in both California and Florida, you probably are on to something that's pretty popular. So amen to that. Let's hope it continues.
That is a very good point.